Richard Holden's here, Shadow Paymaster General. Richard, very good morning to you.
Morning, Mike. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well indeed. Much better than Keir Starmer, I suspect, this morning, who's woken up to yet another series of awful headlines. Not only is he not doing anything abroad, making a fool of himself in all sorts of areas of G7 meetings and not knowing what Donald Trump's up to and then not being able to back America, one of our greatest allies, all of that just in the last few days. Now he's got a revolt on his hands because everybody hates him. Apparently he doesn't spend any time in Parliament. He's only voted 7 times since he's been Prime Minister in the lobby. Never goes to the tea room. Some Labour MPs have never met him. And what's wrong with him?
Well, it's a good question, Mike. I mean, what we've seen today is literally the third U-turn in a series of weeks from Labour. We saw the big U-turn on the grooming and rape gang inquiry. Kemi had been hammering on that at Prime Minister's questions week after week, and it finally U-turned a few weeks ago. Then we saw this big U-turn on winter fuel. Again, a massive campaign from the Conservative opposition to try and get him to reverse on that. Finally caved and gave way. And now, this week, what we're seeing is under huge pressure from his own backbenchers. He's actually given way. He said it was going to deliver welfare reform. Now it's going to end up costing another £3 billion a year. I mean, where's he even going to get the money from? We're going to have Rachel coming back to pick our pockets later in the year. I can guarantee you that, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely right. But, I mean, whatever this bill was, it's not going to be in any way, shape or form like what it was supposed to be. But even in its original form, it wasn't actually going to produce £5 billion worth of savings, because I'm told that once all of the nonsense was actually cut out of it, all they were doing was changing the way that people would be applying for some of these benefits in the future. So it was a sort of a mythical £5 billion, wasn't it?
You're totally right. It's totally mythical. We in the Conservatives have been very clear. We'd said, look, we will back sensible welfare reform if it does 3 things. First of all, reduces the cost of the taxpayer. Secondly, reduces the number of people on it and helps people into work. And thirdly, means no tax rises later this year. Labour couldn't guarantee that, so they've had to do a reverse ferret and basically give in to their own backbenchers, saying, no, guys, we'll actually just raise taxes in order to keep the welfare bill exploding later this year. Look, it's quite clear to me that you cannot have welfare reform, as this proposal was, allegedly, right, if you're actually not reducing the amount of people on welfare. Right. I mean, that's not reform, that's just staying the same and giving them more blooming money.
Well, let me play you what he said as well in the Commons yesterday, because he doesn't seem to understand what it is that he's actually reforming. Have a look at this.
I know colleagues across the House are eager to start fixing that, and so am I. And that all colleagues want to get this right, and so do I. We want to see reform implemented with Labour values of fairness. That conversation will continue in the coming days so we can begin making change together on Tuesday.
I mean, he's talking as though he's sort of changing it for compassionate reasons, therefore he's going to stop people getting benefits because it's better for them. But he doesn't really understand what he's doing, does he?
No, I mean, that just sounded like total gibberish to me, Mike, which is what we often get from Keir Starmer. And I think that one of the reasons we get that from Keir Starmer is because he's going to change what he says in a few weeks' time anyway. I have never witnessed a government come into power with such an enormous majority. You know, they've got over 400 of the 650 MPs. Yeah. Right? They've got an enormous majority, right? And within a year, they've had to do 3 major U-turns. He's got the lowest popularity ratings of any Prime Minister since records began. And we're seeing Rachel Reeves going all over the place like a wonky shopping trolley on an ice rink, right, trying to find savings everywhere, but actually all she ends up doing is crashing into things and costing everybody more money. It's a ridiculous situation that we've been placed in by the Labour Party. You know, where is the leadership from a government that was literally elected, you know, less than a year ago? There just isn't any.
No, I know, it's astonishing. I mean, this morning Andrew Bailey, the Governor of the Bank of England, has poured cold water on Rachel Reeves' claim that Britain's economy has turned a corner. He says growth is slowing, high taxes are biting the economy, and it's all going horribly wrong. And the thing that people really dislike about this government and find really distasteful is that they keep lying about everything. You know, Rachel Reeves keeps coming out and saying we've turned the corner. You know, we're able to make a U-turn on pensioners' winter fuel allowance because the economy is doing so much better now than it was. Everybody knows that's not true. Keir Starmer puts out, you know, tweet after tweet saying how he's all about securing Britain's borders and making the streets safe for people in Britain. You know, they're not. Britain is not a safe place. The borders are not secure. He's not telling the truth.
No, you're absolutely right. You know, I think it's quite clear to me that they have no they have no idea what they're doing. Look, I want to see safer borders, but you can only secure our borders with a proper deterrent to stop illegal people coming here. That's why we had the Rwanda scheme, right? They cancelled it, right? And now this new allegedly one in, one out policy, it's not one in, one out. What they're basically saying is that if you get here from France, what we'll then do a deal with you to say, with the French, sorry, to say we'll take somebody else. So it's a massive incentive for the French to send more people across the channel to the UK, because then we end up with some massive merry-go-round of just taking more French asylum seekers. It's just an absolutely crazy idea that we're being forced to now listen to. And on the money situation, look, Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer said they wouldn't increase taxes ahead of the general election. My small businesses are paying higher business rates on the high street, right? The ones who want to invest are paying much more in those capital taxes and inheritance tax and things like that for those who want to invest for the long term, meaning they're less likely to invest. And thirdly, for workers, the national insurance rises are absolutely hammering employment in this country. We saw 100,000 increase since the general election in people on working age unemployment benefits. I think that's going to get worse, and the people it's really hammering are those who are young, just starting out their first jobs, women in part-time work, and also people who have been unemployed for a while trying to get back in. All those jobs are being removed, and I think it's a genuine disgrace from a government that says it stands up for working people. This government does no such thing. In fact, it's hammering working people day in, day out.
It absolutely is. Couldn't agree with you more. Richard Holden, thank you very much indeed, Shadow Paymaster General there, with some strong words about this government, which is run by Keir Starmer and being run into the ground.